What is up, everyone? This is Fantasy Tomorrow, and my name is Jaden, and here we are going into week 4. As always, we have our residential fantasy football expert, Caleb Henley, on the other line. Hello, Caleb.
Hello, everyone.
Are you ready to dive into the world of injuries this week?
Yes, I am. Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yes. So as we all know, injuries can be such a big part in the fantasy football world, sometimes really throwing your team off the rails. So me and Caleb are here to talk about it with you and hopefully navigate those rough waters of injuries. So, I was looking at the wrong camera again. So let's just go on ahead and dive in. So Caleb, which players were inactive in week 3 that we should be seeing maybe return in week 4?
So there's quite a few, actually. So let's really dive into this. This is going to be a long list, but we should be able to see hopefully all of these players very, very soon. First one is Davante Adams. He has a hurt hamstring. He sat out in week 3, but he has a good chance to return this week. He was a game time decision this past week. I think he'll return in week 4. Another wide receiver is Michael Thomas. He's still nursing that high ankle sprain. He's got some work to do, but he's progressing nicely. He could go as well. Julio Jones is another wide receiver who sat out. I mean, it's crazy. These are like 3 of the top wide receivers that we drafted, but they're all hurt. But he has a hamstring injury, and he didn't practice at all last week. He needs to be able to practice this week to have any chance at suiting up on Sunday, or on Monday, actually. Another wide receiver, A.J. Brown, he has a bone bruise. It's pretty significant, so it could actually end up holding him out for an extra week. I didn't really expect that, but you never know. I guess it's pretty bad. DJ Shark is another wide receiver who's hurt. He has a back and chest injury, and he's still kind of undergoing testing right now. He's still trying to figure out what exactly is wrong with him. So we'll have to wait for the results and see if he's practices at all this next week to see if he'll be able to go in week 4. George Kittle, now he's a big name guy that you probably really need for your team to be able to go out and suit up, but he's still coming off of an injury. There's a good chance that he's going to play in week 4. I was actually surprised that he sat out in week 3. It's probably a smart decision to actually make sure he's good to go for the rest of the season. But definitely need to watch him closely, make sure he's all good so you can confidently start him in your lineup. A few other 49ers that are hurt. Jimmy Garoppolo, their quarterback, he's still nursing an ankle injury. He was ruled out on Friday, so he's going to need to log in some practice times to really feel comfortable starting this week. And then also Raheem Mostert, another 49er, their running back. He didn't practice at all last week. So the 49ers are going to be very cautious with him, and we really need to watch all of their practices just to see if any of these players are going to be able to go this upcoming week. Some other players, Philip Lindsay, he has turf toe. He's been out for the last few weeks, but I think he has a good chance of being able to come back if he's able to log some practices. Zach Moss also has a toe injury. He's running back for Buffalo, but he might be able to come back. It just depends on how significant that toe injury is. Jamison Crowder, wide receiver for the Jets. Now, he's probably their best offensive weapon, the only one that even would be considerable to start in your lineup this week or in any week going forward. But he's had a hamstring injury. He's on a short week. They play on Thursday night. He's probably not going to end up playing on such a short week with limited opportunity for him to practice and get ready. Then also Christian Kirk, wide receiver for Arizona. He's coming back from a groin injury. Now, that's not good, of course. But even if he was able to play, I don't think he has any value for you to be able to start. He hasn't had a good start to his season, and I think they're spreading the ball around pretty good in Arizona, so I just don't see a role developing for him in that offense, but hopefully he does get healthy soon. And then also Henry Ruggs, who has a knee and hamstring injury. He's the wide receiver for the Raiders, but we'll have to watch him carefully, make sure he's good to go. He was injured in practice late last week, so we still don't really know how severe this injury is. We'll need to see if he practices at all this week going forward.
Yeah, I hope George Kittle and Jimmy Garoppolo come back soon because I was rewatching the Super Bowl the other day, and they were both such key factors, and I don't know, I would like to see him come back and maybe even see a repeat, kind of, like a rematch, because at the very end of it, George Kittle was like, I was just kind of sad. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm so happy the Chiefs won, so happy, but it was also just kind of sad because he's like, I'll be back. I'll be back. it's not going to be me and all this. And I was just, and then he got hurt like at the very beginning of the season. And I was just like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm okay.
Yeah, I like Kittle a lot. He's such a likable guy. I hope he gets back and healthy. It'd be fun to see a repeat of that Super Bowl.
I
It really
agree.
would.
And I agree. And he, like you said, he really is just a good guy. Even just like watching him play and how he carries himself, like he's just such a he's such a good sport. Just even in general, like he's a really good. Yeah, I enjoy watching him as well.
For sure.
But so are there any players that got hurt in week 4 that we should watch carefully? Whoops. Are there any players that got hurt in week 3 that we should be watching carefully going into week 4?
Yeah, there's a few. Fortunately, it's not nearly as bad as last week when it was just like everyone was getting hurt, but there are still a few injuries that happened this past week. So Chris Godwin, he has a hamstring injury. This is actually the second time he's been injured already this year, so that's concerning. If it's serious, this could be something that could take him out. Now, if he's hurt, if he can't go, someone that you might want to look at to replace him is Scotty Miller. He might be available on the waiver wires, but Tom Brady seems to like him, and he could have a much bigger role if Chris Godwin can't play. Another player that might not be able to go this week who got hurt in week 3 is Jarrett McKinnon, another 49er, got hurt. Now, he has a rib injury, kept him out of finishing his game in week 3, but he might be able to return. It'll just depend on how his practices go, how significant that rib injury is. There's not a whole lot that you can do for a rib injury to, set it or anything, so who knows. But if he can't play, someone to look at, Jeff Wilson Jr. would probably take up the mantle for him, so definitely someone to consider picking up if you have and are relying on Jarrett McKinnon. Now, Deontay Johnson, wide receiver for Pittsburgh, he has a concussion, so he's going to have to clear the concussion protocol in order to return. We'll have to see how that happens. Concussions can vary in how severe they are, so definitely need to watch him, see what happens. A player that might be worth watching in case Johnson can't go are James Washington and Chase Claypool. Both of them could have expanded roles without Johnson in the lineup. And then also Russell Gage, wide receiver for the Falcons. He also has a concussion, so same as Johnson, he's going to have to clear the concussion protocol, so need to keep an eye on that. John Brown, wide receiver for the Buffalo Bills. Now, he has a calf issue, and this is a soft tissue injury. Never really quite know how long or how severe those are going to be, but it's definitely something that can still nag at a player for an extended period of time, so definitely need to see how severe that is, see if he's practicing at all, whether it's in a full or limited capacity, to see if he'll be able to play this upcoming weekend. And then also Jared Cook, tight end for New Orleans. Now, he has a groin injury, which is concerning. So, again, same thing with him. Got to watch the practices, make sure that he's good to go. And, definitely something to be concerned about. But also, you could probably find a tight end to replace him if you need to.
Yeah, I hate injuries. I don't just hate them for fantasy football. I hate them for the players. I hate them in general. I've had weirdly enough, I've had most of the ones that you just said, all but the soft tissue one, and I mean every single one of them are the worst. Like with it concussion, you just are down and out, can't do nothing, put on bed rest even if you want to, and then groin issues they just hurt. You're just like, okay, I don't even know how this happened, but thanks.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah. So are there any players that got injured in week 3 that are going to be out for a long period of time?
Yeah, there's a few. Again, not nearly as bad as last week, which is good news, but still concerning. Probably the most high-profile one was Chris Carson. He has a knee sprain, and he suffered the injury on a really dirty play by the guy who's tackling him. It was awful to watch. But fortunately, he's not injured as severe as many people thought after watching him get hurt, which is good. But he's still going to miss a week or two. So definitely need to keep an eye on him. In the meantime, Carlos Hyde and Travis Homer should be able to come in and split carries for the Seattle backfield. They might be some people to look at if you need to replace Carson in your lineup. A player that suffered a much more significant injury and unfortunately is out for the year is running back Tariq Cohen for the Chicago Bears. Now, a torn ACL, that's not good. He's going to be done for the year. I think David Montgomery's probably going to benefit from that. He's going to probably see a higher workload along with Cordero Patterson. He'll probably also see more touches now that Cohen is gone, but it really stinks for Tariq Cohen. He's one of my favorite players, actually. I think he's super explosive, but unfortunately he's done for the year. And the last player who's going to miss a significant amount of time is Dallas Goedert. He has an ankle injury, but we don't really know what his timetable is, but he'll probably miss at least a couple of games, but hopefully he'll get back soon as well.
Yeah, I saw Tariq was on there, and I was like, ooh, Caleb's not going to be happy. I'm like, he's talked about him almost every week so far. So,
yeah.
Well, there you have it, guys. Those are your players to be watching that might be returning soon, and the players to maybe not keep on your roster depending on their timetables. Thankfully, this week, the waters was only a high tide and not a full-blown hurricane like last week. But we will be here all season long as the injuries keep popping up to kind of navigate you through those. As always, my name is Jaden, and that is Caleb. And this is Fantasy Tomorrow, where we are giving you the information to learn today and win tomorrow. Good luck, guys. See you soon.